Till now in the anterior triangle we have seen the muscular triangle and the submental triangle. Today we are going to see the carotid triangle. If we see the boundaries of the carotid triangle, antero-inferiorly it is bounded by superior belly of omohyoid, antero-superiorly in a deeper plane here there is presence of posterior belly of digastric along with the stylohyoid which forms the antero-superior border, and posteriorly it is formed by the anterior border of sternocleidomastoid. The roof of the carotid triangle is the same as that of the roof of anterior triangle. Skin, superficial fascia. In the superficial fascia, fibers of platysma, then investing layer of deep cervical fascia, cervical branch of facial nerve which we have seen previously in the structures of the roof of anterior triangle, and transverse cervical, cutaneous branches of the transverse cervical nerve. To see the contents of the carotid triangle, first reflect the sternocleidomastoid and the superior belly of omohyoid. The main contents of the carotid triangle include the great vessels of the neck, that is the common carotid artery. This is internal jugular vein, and here we can see the vagus nerve. These great vessels of the neck, they are covered by a tubular investment of the deep cervical fascia which is known as the carotid sheath. In the carotid sheath, the arterial stem that is lying medially, the venous stem that is lying laterally, and between and behind the arterial and the venous stem you can see the vagus nerve. The carotid sheath that is well defined or thickened over the arterial stem, here I am very clearly able to separate the carotid sheath, but if you see the same layer on the venous stem, it is ill defined so as to allow the expansion of the internal jugular vein during increased venous return. This carotid sheath, if you see the extent, it is extending from the base of the skull to the arch of the aorta. So it is extending to the entire length. The anterior wall of the carotid sheath that is formed by the pretracheal layer of deep cervical fascia. This anterior layer, it is fused with the posterior surface of the sternocleidomastoid. Right, so it is placed like this. So the anterior wall of the carotid sheath that is fused with the posterior surface of the sternocleidomastoid. This is the posterior layer of the carotid sheath which is formed by the prevertebral layer of deep cervical fascia. We have seen that anterior layer is fused with the posterior surface of the sternocleidomastoid. Here what happens, the posterior wall of the carotid sheath, it is separated from the prevertebral layer of deep cervical fascia by loose areolar tissue. This is common carotid artery. We have seen the carotid sheath and now we have removed the carotid sheath. So now we are able to see the artery properly. This is common carotid artery. Tracing it upwards at the level of the upper border of the lamina of thyroid cartilage, somewhere here, it is bifurcating into two. This is external carotid artery, this one, and this is internal carotid artery. So now if you see the location, this is internal carotid artery which is located laterally. This is external carotid artery which is located medially. So the name is given according to the supply. This external carotid artery is supplying the structures extracranially, whereas this internal carotid artery, it is supplying the structures intracranially. At the bifurcation of the common carotid artery, involving the common carotid artery and the internal carotid artery, you can see one fusiform dilatation. This is carotid sinus. At the site of the carotid sinus, the wall is thinner as compared to the other part of the artery and it is more elastic. In the posterior wall of the carotid sinus, here posteriorly, there is a presence of a small oval neurovascular structure which is known as carotid body. Branches of the external carotid artery which we can see in the carotid triangle. The first is the superior thyroid artery. You can see this loop of the superior thyroid artery. Superior thyroid artery that is arising from the front of the external carotid artery arises in the carotid triangle just below the tip of the greater cornu of the hyoid bone. This is the tip of the greater cornu of hyoid bone. Just below it arises. Here the superior thyroid artery, it rests on the inferior constrictor muscle. Here you can see some branches of the superior thyroid artery. It gives some infrahyoid branches, sternomastoid branch, cricothyroid branch. The main continuation of the superior thyroid artery that passes downwards, and then it goes deep to the infrahyoid group of the muscles. Going deep, it disappears. Here the superior thyroid artery that is accompanied by one nerve. This is the external laryngeal nerve. External laryngeal nerve accompanies the superior thyroid artery and it reaches the apex of the lateral lobe of the thyroid gland. The next branch of the external carotid artery, which we can see in the carotid triangle, is your lingual artery. This is lingual artery. Lingual artery, it runs upward with convexity directed upwards, and it is crossed superficially by the loop of hypoglossal nerve. This is hypoglossal nerve, which is crossing superficially external internal carotid arteries, also the lingual artery. Then it will run forward and it will disappear deep to the mylohyoid muscle and will go and supply the musculature of the tongue. Here if you see, this is lingual artery. One branch of the lingual artery, this is sternomastoid branch. So this is lingual artery. This lingual artery which you see in the carotid triangle is the first part. First part of the lingual artery we can see in the carotid triangle. It runs upward and it will disappear deep to the posterior border of the hyoglossus muscle. These fibers which you see, this is hyoglossus, and the lingual artery, it will go deep to the hyoglossus muscle, where we will see this rest of the lingual artery we will see in the submandibular region. One important branch which deserves special mention of superior thyroid artery, this is superior laryngeal artery. This is accompanied by the same vein. Along with this, you can see one nerve. This is your internal laryngeal nerve. These two structures, that is the superior laryngeal vessels and the internal laryngeal nerve, they are piercing the thyrohyoid membrane. See, this is hyoid bone. This one is hyoid bone. This is the greater cornu of the hyoid bone, and deep to this there is this thyroid cartilage. So this is thyrohyoid. There is a thyrohyoid membrane between the hyoid bone and the thyroid cartilage, and it is pierced by these two structures, that is superior laryngeal vessels and internal laryngeal nerve. Internal laryngeal nerve, that is coming from the superior laryngeal branch of the vagus nerve. The next branch of the external carotid artery is facial artery. This is facial artery. It is going upwards, passing deep to posterior belly of digastric and stylohyoid here, and then it is forming a loop in relation with the submandibular gland and the lower border of the mandible. So this is, here we can see, this is facial artery, which we have seen in the face also. Here when it runs near the lower border of the mandible, it is giving one branch. This is submental branch of facial artery, right? This one. Rest of the course of the facial artery we will see in the submandibular region. Here the facial artery is resting on the middle constrictor as well as the superior constrictor muscle. Just opposite to the origin of the facial artery, you can see this is occipital artery. Just opposite to the origin of facial artery, here this is another branch of external carotid. This is occipital artery. Occipital artery is having two branches. This is occipital artery. It is having two branches, upper sternomastoid and lower sternomastoid. Upper sternomastoid branch, it accompanies the spinal part of accessory nerve, and lower sternomastoid branch that accompanies the hypoglossal nerve. The medial and the smallest branch of the external carotid artery is the ascending pharyngeal artery. This I have lifted upward, otherwise it is lying like this between external and internal carotid arteries. So you can see here, this is the medial branch which is known as ascending pharyngeal artery. Ascending pharyngeal artery, it runs upwards between the internal carotid artery and the wall of the pharynx up to the base of the skull. It will ascend upwards. Another important content of the carotid triangle is internal jugular vein. But the internal jugular vein is hidden from the view because of the anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid. So we need to reflect this muscle. After the reflection of the sternocleidomastoid, you can see this is internal jugular vein. Internal jugular vein and our common carotid artery, along with the internal carotid artery, as we have seen, it is covered by the carotid sheath. Internal jugular vein is lying lateral to the common carotid artery and internal carotid artery. It is a longitudinal big vessel which is extending from the base of the skull to the root of the neck, right? And the carotid sheath that is thin over the internal jugular vein, right? This is internal jugular vein. Between and behind the internal jugular vein and the common carotid artery, we can see vagus nerve. The nerves which we can see in the carotid triangle is spinal part of accessory nerve, loop of the hypoglossal nerve, vagus nerve, and cervical part of the sympathetic trunk. Spinal part of accessory nerve is very deep. It winds around the upper sternomastoid branch of the occipital artery that we will see after removal of the mandible. The one which we are able to see very nicely is the loop of the hypoglossal nerve. Loop of the hypoglossal nerve, it winds around the lower sternomastoid branch of occipital artery. Then it crosses the internal carotid artery, external carotid artery, loop of the first part of lingual artery. So you can see the crossing of the hypoglossal nerve to all the three structures. From the convexity of the loop of the hypoglossal nerve, there are two branches. The first branch you can see here, this is the nerve to the thyroid muscle which is carrying the fibers of C1, and the other branch, this is descendens hypoglossae which is coming from the convexity of the hypoglossal nerve and which is forming the superior root. From the superior root, you can see a branch going to the superior belly of the omohyoid, right? And the main trunk, that is the superior root, it will wind round in the anterior wall of the carotid sheath and will form the ansa cervicalis. Another nerve in the carotid triangle which we can see, that is vagus nerve. Vagus nerve, which we have also seen along with the carotid sheath, where it lies in the carotid sheath between the internal jugular vein and common carotid artery. Vagus nerve is lying on a more posterior plane. So I need to lift it upwards to see it properly. In the neck, the vagus nerve is giving one branch which is known as superior laryngeal branch. Superior laryngeal branch divides into internal laryngeal and external laryngeal nerve. These two branches which we have seen here, actually the division is at a bit higher level. We have seen the internal laryngeal branch. This is internal laryngeal branch which is running along with the superior laryngeal vessels. This is a sensory branch. You can see that it is quite thicker and it is piercing the thyroid membrane. It will pierce the thyroid membrane and supply the larynx. Another branch of superior laryngeal nerve is external laryngeal nerve. This is a motor branch. It is more slender as compared to this branch. This is external laryngeal nerve. It accompanies the superior thyroid artery and it runs up to the apex of the lateral lobe of thyroid gland. So this is external laryngeal and this is internal laryngeal, which are branches of superior laryngeal nerve of vagus nerve, which is given in the neck. To complete the list of the nerves which we can see in the carotid triangle, after retracting the contents of the carotid sheath laterally we can see the cervical part of the sympathetic trunk. This we will see in detail in the deeper structures of the neck. And to complete the list of the contents of the carotid triangle, in the upper part we can also see the apex of the parotid gland. Now let's move towards the digastric triangle. The area between the base of the mandible and the hyoid bone, this area is considered as the submandibular region. The digastric triangle is bounded anteroinferiorly by the anterior belly of digastric, posterior-inferiorly by posterior belly of digastric along with the stylohyoid. Base is directed upwards and it is formed by the lower border of the mandible along with one imaginary line extending from the angle of the mandible to the mastoid process. So this becomes the base. The contents of the digastric triangle, here we are going to see the superficial contents only. The deeper contents we will see in the submandibular region. We can divide the digastric triangle into anterior part and posterior part by one ligament which is known as stylomandibular ligament, which is extending from the tip of the styloid process to the angle of the mandible. So this becomes the anterior part and this is the posterior part of the digastric triangle. Contents of the anterior part of the digastric triangle, it includes the superficial part of the submandibular gland, facial artery lying deep to the submandibular gland, facial vein lying superficial to the submandibular gland. To see the other structures, we are removing a part of the submandibular gland, that is the superficial part. After the removal of this gland, we can see one branch of the facial artery, that is submental artery, branch of facial artery. And to see the other structures of anterior part, we will reflect the anterior belly of the digastric. After the reflection of this anterior belly, we can see the mylohyoid muscle and the nerve to mylohyoid. This nerve to mylohyoid, it will supply mylohyoid muscle as well as the anterior belly of the digastric. Along with this nerve, we also have the vessels. So these are the mylohyoid nerve and vessels and hypoglossal nerve. Contents of the posterior part of the digastric triangle, superficial contents are parotid gland and external carotid artery before it enters the parotid gland.